I'm sure all of you are fairly familiar with SNAP. A couple things about the SNAP program for our discussion this week. The first thing is SNAP is more than just food stamps or the now food cards, but there is a whole wealth of content under the SNAP Ed program, and so um, if you go in there and you'll see over on the side here, you can't see the other comments when I'm in audio mode, but there's a bunch of links there in the text comment to take you to different parts of the SNAP Ed program. And the reason why this is important, and we're going to look at this in some articles, is that we have a challenge with the SNAP program. The SNAP program is absolutely wonderful and important and vital, and I agree with everything that Senator Booker has to say about the SNAP program in the clip I pulled for you. But at the same time, we cannot deny that currently much of SNAP's funding goes to foods that are the furthest thing from nutritious. And in fact, many of the calories that SNAP provides for are in fact empty calories. And so we're going to look at that more closely. Again, doesn't take away anything from the importance of the SNAP program. In fact, I would argue it requires SNAP needs additional funding, not just to expand its benefits, but also to invest in research and innovation to try to help people, one, have access to and have the education to make more nutritious choices with their SNAP benefit. So anyway, the SNAP program comes from the Farm Bill, or it's funded from the Farm Bill. I've got some more information about the Farm Bill in the slide. If you're interested in the Farm Bill, and which has to be reauthorized every 5 years.
I want to conclude by speaking about the importance of SNAP and SNAP assistance for the food insecure. I was relieved, actually I rejoiced to see that the Senate Farm Bill does not cut SNAP funding. In 2014, I voted against the Farm Bill because it contained more than $8 billion in cuts to SNAP, to this supplemental nutritional program. And it disproportionately helps people in my state of New Jersey. And therefore the cuts disproportionately impacted my state. The truth is, at a time when we continue to heavily subsidize these large agribusinesses, I say very purposefully that there is still a corporate welfare in our Farm Bill. We should not force struggling families and seniors and disabled citizens, working Americans, to make sacrifices that they can't afford. At the end of the day, this program aims to feed our country's most vulnerable population, with more than half of SNAP recipients being children and seniors. I repeat that. More than half of SNAP's benefits are our kids and our elderly. In my home state of New Jersey, approximately 142,000 senior citizens and 113,000 disabled residents receive SNAP. SNAP helps a cross-section of Americans in all ethnic groups. SNAP helps folks in our cities, in our towns, in our suburbs, in our rural communities alike. And SNAP feeds our family farmers, who too often rely on food assistance to feed themselves and their families while producing the food that we eat. The irony of that is unacceptable. SNAP feeds our children, our child care workers, our health care providers, our veterans. SNAP feeds those who are in between jobs or who've had 3 jobs and are still struggling to make ends meet. I'm glad to see the Senate bill has rejected the damaging and destructive SNAP cuts in the partisan House Farm Bill. Because the truth is, at a time that over 13 million children in our country, and please understand that children in America, in a global knowledge-based society, the greatest natural resource our country has is not coal, oil, or gas. It's the genius of our children. And young minds need proper nutrition. And at a time when 13 million children in our country face food insecurity, what we need to be doing is to fund programs like SNAP, not fund them less, but actually fund them more. SNAP plays a critical role in making sure children are able to focus in a classroom, not be distracted about where their next meal is going to come from or the hunger pains they're feeling. Now, I live in a low-income community. I'm a senator that lives in a community, according to the last census, where the median income is about $14,000 per household. I see my neighbors, working folk, working full-time jobs and still not making ends meet. When I go to my local bodega, I see people use programs like SNAP. God bless America. If we're not going to raise the minimum wage so that people who work a full-time job in this country don't have to still live in poverty, we should not be cutting programs that are essential to helping families have meet their nutritional needs. And I see this at the end of the month when SNAP benefits are running out. One study shows that calories fall by up to 25%, the intake of calories for folks on food stamps, from the beginning of the month to the end. And families struggle, kids struggle when there's less food in the house, when they go to school hungry. What does that do to cultivate that genius? And that's why we shouldn't be doing things like passing the SNAP for Kids. That's why we should be doing things like passing the SNAP for Kids Act of 2018, introduced by my friend and colleague, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. If we are serious about expanding opportunity and strengthening American competitiveness in our economy, making sure every child, every adult, every senior citizen has access to the next meal, this legislation is important. Madam President,